Mason Crosby to kick off. Eric Weems, one of the best return men in the league, though his average is down this season, to run it back. Atlanta winning the toss. They'll receive, and a line drive kickoff goes through the end zone. So the Falcons now come out. Matt Ryan has done well in regular season outings against Green Bay. In those 2 games, as you can see, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick, won them both. However, in January, in the playoff game, when it all counted, as you can see, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, a 69 rating, and the Packers sacked him 5 times en route to that big win. And they start with Joe Hawley at center in place of the injured McClure. And on the ground, they go with Michael Turner up the middle for a gain of a couple.
Well, you know, we talked about it in the open a little bit. You've got to stay with this running game. It's who the Falcons are. Michael Turner, power football, play action off of that. Problem is, you've got some big guys in there that are pretty hard to move. And B.J. Raji and Ryan Pickett, Jarius Wynn made the tackle there. So you have to be able to establish that if you're the Falcons to stay in your game tonight.
Green Bay shifting around a lot, but playing a base 3-4 under the defensive coordinator Dom Capers, which has been his staple for years. Here's Turner to the outside, and Turner with a nice run, and Hawk is able to finally tackle him up at the 29-yard line. So the Falcons put themselves in a 3rd and 1 situation.
Well, they pull Garrett Reynolds around here this time for the lead to get the fullback in front, also get the wide receiver cracking down inside. So this is exactly what you're going to see. Michael Turner, in a sort of a bizarre stat, has lost yards on more of his runs this year than ever before, a much higher percentage. And that's probably the strangest thing I saw in the Falcons coming into this game. He usually does not.
About once every 6 carries, and they'll empty the backfield on 3rd down and 1. Ryan out of the gun, and a quick throw to Tony Gonzalez. And when you talk about security blankets, there is one. Tony Gonzalez, as we take a look at the Falcons starters.
Matt Ryan, Boston College.
Michael Turner, Northern Illinois.
Ovi Mahaley, the Wake Forest University.
Julio Jones, Alabama.
Roddy White, Alabama, Birmingham.
I'm Tony Gonzalez, University of California.
Sam Baker, Southern California.
Justin Blaylock, Texas at Austin.
Joe Hawley, UNLV.
Garrett Reynolds, University of North Carolina.
Tyson Clabo, Wake Forest.
Again, Todd McClure out, so Hawley is the man in the middle doing the snapping tonight. 1st down from the 36-yard line. Ryan with a short drop, has to scramble and extends the play, and will just run out of bounds at the 36, chased out by the linebacker Brad Jones.
One of the interesting things about the Packers defensively is that they play sort of a nickel set, despite the fact that the Falcons were in there with 2 tight ends in the game. That's usually when you see more of the base set, but here we have 2 tight ends, and because they want so badly to get Charles Woodson up there in sort of that linebacker position, they take one of the backers out. And can they maintain against a run out of that set defensively?
Turn to the running back on 2nd down and 9. And Michael Turner came over from San Diego in a trade in 08. Around the corner he goes for a 1st down before he is pushed out of bounds. He broke out of a Charles Woodson would-be tackle and then thrust out of bounds after a gain of 15 by Desmond Bishop.
Yeah, and Charles Woodson's one of the best tacklers from the secondary standpoint, but Michael Turner is enormous. And so even one of the best tackling corners in the game may not get that guy on the ground. So that's the matchup you're hoping for, to get Michael Turner on a defensive back. That time Turner won.
Turner at 5'10" and about 247. And he has the fullback Mahaley in the backfield in this set. From the Green Bay 48-yard line. Off the play fake. And then the pass is thrown underneath, incomplete. Clay Matthews put the heat on. And let's take a look at that Green Bay D.
Ryan Pickett, Ohio State University.
B.J. Raji, D.C.
Jarius Wynn, Georgia.
Clay Matthews, USC.
A.J. Hawk, The Ohio State University.
Desmond Bishop, San Francisco City College.
Eric Walden, Middle Tennessee State.
Charles Woodson, University of Michigan.
Charlie Peppera, Roll Tide.
Morgan Burnett, Georgia Tech.
Tremont Williams, Louisiana Tech.
One guy they're missing is the great safety Nick Collins. Neck injury week 2. They haven't put him on injured reserve yet. So a chance, I guess, for him to come back if they get to postseason. 2nd down and 10. And Ryan hit as he throws, and the pass is incomplete. One hop by Julio Jones, covered there by Sam Shields. It'll be 3rd down and 10.
Now, Matt Ryan looked like he tripped on his back. Jason Snelling on this one as he dropped back. It's a good looking play, but he just sort of fell over the feet of Snelling, and now they're sitting there at 3rd and 10, and the advantage now goes to Dom Capers and this defense.
Opening drive of the game, Falcons have picked up a pair of first downs. Ryan stays in the pocket, throws and completes it. And that's going to be a first down. Harry Douglas on the outside. 3rd-year wideout out of Louisville, run out by Tramon Williams. And Mike McCarthy has watched his defense yield a 3rd consecutive first down on a 13-yard pickup on 3rd and long.
Well, Tramon Williams on the outside typically is a bump and run guy, but he's got a bad shoulder, so that time he played off. And Harry Douglas was able to rub off on the guy inside, Julio Jones, and able to pick up the first down.
Jacquez Rogers, the rookie from Oregon State, is the running back here. And they flip it to Jones, the rookie from Alabama. And Jones to the outside, and Woodson knocks him out of bounds, but not until Jones picks up another first down. That's a gain of 17 yards for the guy they traded way up in the 1st round for with Cleveland to pick number 4.
A lot of things happen. Going to fake the pitch here, and Obi Mihaly is going to lead the way here for Julio Jones. And there aren't many guys in football that can run like that guy, and he's about 225 pounds. I tell you, he is a little bit of a Calvin Johnson look-alike to me. He has a very bright future in this game.
Falcons trading up 21 spots from 27 to 6 in the draft to get it. Back to the ground they go, and Turner gets taken down in the back. That's a great tackle, slicing through. The blocking was Desmond Bishop. 2nd down.
You know, Desmond Bishop had such a good game last week. He ends up with the game ball a week ago. He keeps making plays like this. He might get another one. Just sees the gap and shoots through there. Looked like Michael Turner had a chance, but Bishop was there to make the stop.
2nd and 12. Good opening drive for the Falcons. This will be their 11th play. Empty backfield, a flip to the outside to Rogers. And Rogers is close to a first down before he's forced out of bounds. Harry Douglas threw a nice block. You know, all of the talk was about picking up Jones in that 1st round, but then in the 5th round, they were able to pick up Rogers, and Thomas Dimitroff, the general manager, felt that was a steal. He's only 5'6", weighs 196, had a sensational career at Oregon State. When you're that small, you get hidden behind the lineman.
That's a great point, Al. So many times defensive players, especially those linebackers, when you get a smaller player like that, and they're going to have an illegal substitution now, too many guys in the huddle.
12 in the huddle, offense, 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
And when the last guy off is number 22, you know, he was the 12th.
Yeah, it's one of the problems you get when you play young players is sometimes you try and speed it up a little bit. And right now the Falcons are trying to lock in the Packers in some of their defensive personnel grouping so they can't match with them. And unfortunately, Jacquez Rogers missed that one.
Turns a 3rd and 1 into a 3rd down and 6. Ryan with a clean pocket, and he converts again, and the catch is made by Tony Gonzalez, the ageless wonder in his 15th season.
Well, we're going to talk about it on the other side of the ball too, but 2 great tight ends in this one. Tony Gonzalez, as soon as Matt Ryan sees him one-on-one, he's just going to throw that back shoulder throw. And sort of the first time tonight, maybe we'll talk about Nick Collins, who is no longer there because of that neck injury. That would have been his assignment. Pepper gets it instead.
1,092 catches in that man's career. It's 1st down and goal. Atlanta with 5 first downs on the opening drive. Have had the ball for over 6.5 minutes, and they'll take a timeout here. First and goal when we come back to the Georgia Dome. Green Bay D, a little bit of a haunted house thus far. Second most points in NFL history allowed by a team that has started 4-0. Go back to the 2000 Rams, and right now they're in jeopardy of yielding points on the opening drive. It's first down and goal from the 4. Michael Turner is the back. With Mahaley in at fullback. Good play action, and then the pressure is put on, but wide open is White for the touchdown. Ryan, just before he got hit by Eric Walden, finds a wide open Roddy White for his first catch of the game, and that culminates a 13-play, 80-yard touchdown drive.
Yeah, you could hear Matt Ryan screaming out, "Alert, alert." He made his wide receivers crisscross and got just enough of a picking action there to pop Roddy White wide open. Nice job by Matt Ryan hanging in there until it developed.
Matt Bryant for the extra point. So the Falcons won the toss, wanted the ball right away, elected not to defer, and it pays off with a Ryan to White touchdown pass. 7-0 Falcons. Roddy White working his way through a gimpy knee and a thigh injury that's limited him. Got free on the crisscross there to score the touchdown, and 7 yards in. This is Randall Cobb, the rookie who ran a kickback on opening night in the Thursday night opener against New Orleans. And Green Bay now has its first possession. Aaron Rodgers and company ready for action. Mike Turakovac is the Green Bay defensive line coach, and going over what just happened with his guys. Tom Capers, the coordinator, is upstairs. And now Green Bay takes over at its own 14-yard line. And Aaron Rodgers, who's been just brilliant this season, starts out of the shotgun. Dumps it off underneath. Catch is made there by Ryan Grant to the 21-yard line. Now Rodgers in a couple of regular season games, one in Green Bay and one here, 0-2 against the Falcons, though he has played well in those. And then, of course, he had a night of nights here in January. 366 yards, a 136.8 rating, and away they went onto the championship game in the NFC against Chicago, and, of course, onto the Super Bowl where they beat Pittsburgh. 2nd and 4. And we've got Jeff Triplett throwing a flag here for a false start.
False start. Offense, number 70. 5-yard penalty. Still 2nd down.
2nd down and 9 as we take a look at the Packer offense.
Aaron Rodgers, California.
Brian Graham, University of Notre Dame.
Greg Jennings, Western Michigan University.
Donald Driver, Alcorn State.
Jordy Nelson, Kansas State.
Michael Finley, the University of Texas.
Chad Clifton, Tennessee.
TJ Lang, Eastern Michigan.
Scott Wells, Tennessee.
Josh Sutton, UCF.
Marshall Newhouse, TCU.
Newhouse, a guy to keep an eye on tonight with Brian Bulaga hurt. Here goes Grant. Grant missed last week's game with a bruised kidney, sustained the week before, so he's back tonight and will share time with James Starks, and he picks up a 1st down.
Well, for right here is one of the key guys in this ball game, Marshall Newhouse, taking over for Brian Bulaga. And one of the things that they can help with the pass protection is to occasionally run inside him. That time, a second and very long situation. They just take off inside, so it makes it a little easier to pass block the next time for Newhouse.
6.5 left in the quarter. Now Starks comes in behind the fullback, John Kuhn. Handoff goes to Starks. Starks, a postseason star last year, up to the 32-yard line. Nice game. Let's take a look at the Atlanta D.
Ray Edwards, Purdue. Jonathan Babineau, Iowa. Corey Peters, Kentucky.
Croy Bierman, University of Montana.
Sean Weatherspoon, MIZ, ZOU.
Curtis Lofton, Oklahoma.
Stephen Nicholas, University of South Florida.
Brent Grimes, Shippensburg University.
William Moore, University of Missouri.
Thomas Deku, the University of California.
Dante Robinson, South Carolina.
Good news is they get Babineau back. He's been hurt. Bad news, of course, is they're minus John Abraham. 2nd and 2. And Rogers throws, and that slant is caught by Greg Jennings. Out to the 42 he goes. First down, Green Bay.
Poor Corey Bierman was dropping in a zone blitz, and that thing whistled by his ear so fast he didn't even know what it was. I tell you, Aaron Rodgers, if there's a guy with a quicker release than what he has, I haven't seen him this year. Every once in a while, the Falcons like to drop those defensive linemen back, but you better get back a little quicker than that.
12 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. And coming off a spectacular postseason Super Bowl MVP, he's been great on play action this season. Just tremendous. And that time it's a little overthrown. Intended for James Jones. Jones going deep down the middle, covered by Thomas Deku. It'll be 2nd down and 10.
Well, here's basically the play that the Packers scored on to Jordy Nelson a week ago at the top of your screen. And really it gives you a chance to work on the safety, Thomas Deku, down the field. James Jones with that double move, faking out to the flag and then coming back inside to the post, and barely missed it, but Deku was on it.
Inside handoff goes to Grant. Ryan Grant up to the 46-yard line, 1,000-yard year a couple of years ago. Then he got hurt on opening day last year, and he was gone for the rest of the season. And back now. 3rd and 6. And Starks comes into the game. These guys are going to wind up as 1 and 1A if they're not already. Caught over the middle. Bullet to Jermichael Finley, and the Green Bay tight end picks up a first down in Atlanta territory.
Well, we're seeing it more and more around the league. These tight ends that are really more like wide receivers and linebackers trying to cover them down the field. Jermichael Finley is just a superstar. Wasn't even really playing on the team a season ago due to injury, and Marshall Newhouse on the outside, pretty good protection there.
From the 41. And with Grant back in. Off the play fake, and the pass is incomplete. Nelson looking around for a flag. Coverage is good. Brent Grimes covering on the play. It'll be 2nd down.
Yeah, Brent Grimes is without question the best of the cover guys for the Atlanta Falcons. This time he gets Jordy Nelson squared up and gets in and makes the play. That's what they're going to have to be able to do. You know, you can't double team all these great weapons the Green Bay Packers have, but occasionally you're going to have somebody make a play, and I think Grimes will get more single coverage than anybody tonight.
One of 9 Falcons to go to the Pro Bowl last season. 7-0 Atlanta, 3.5 to go in the quarter. 2nd and 10. And they run a draw, and this is Grant. And Grant loses the ball. And the Falcons are there, and Atlanta recovers. Vance Walker, number 99, comes away with the football. End of the Green Bay drive. Falcons with the ball and a 7-0 lead, knocked away by Grimes. Ryan Grant had not fumbled the last 325 times he had touched the ball back to the 09 season. And this is Michael Turner. It's tackled there by C.J. Wilson, and there is Grant. Meanwhile, Atlanta now has forced a turnover in its last 24 games. That's the longest current streak in the NFL, the equivalent of a season and a half.
I'll tell you, the Falcons continue to struggle on first down. On that first touchdown drive, they were 2nd and 8, 2nd and 9, 2nd and 10, and 2nd and 12, and they start this one at least 2nd and 12.
Jason Snelling comes in. as the running back. 2nd and 13 now. And a backside screen, and Snelling makes the catch, and Snelling gets the first down and gets into Green Bay territory before Hawk makes the tackle at the 47-yard line. So another 2nd or 3rd and long conversion here. 19-yard pickup.
Very clever that time. Watch, Roddy White's going to fake the bootleg back over this way. Looks like a bootleg all the way, then screen the other direction and caught the Packers in the open field. Very clever by Mike Mularkey.
Olive turns out to be just a straight ahead run by Michael Turner to pick up 5 yards to the 41.
Well, Tony Gonzalez known mostly for his ability to catch passes, but this time working against Clay Matthews. So much of this offense is the cutback runs, and if you can get Matthews running one way and just let his momentum take him, that's a great block.
Ryan, after changing it again, throws a slant, and that's the rookie Julio Jones to the 26-yard line, where he's tackled by Sam Shields. And Jones has come on very, very quickly, over 100 yards in each of his last 2 games. Had 11 receptions last week, gain of 16 here.
I'll tell you, Peyton Manning is the best at running an offense at the line of scrimmage, but this Matt Ryan is not too far off. He has made some great checks the last few games. Last week against Seattle, some really key ones. Watch how much of this offense he's calling at the line of scrimmage now.
4th-year quarterback hands it off to Turner, who powers his way down to the 20-yard line, tackled there by Charlie Pepra.
Really nice that time by Garrett Reynolds, the right guard, coming around right here in the hole. Gets up on the linebacker. They get it sealed inside with Justin Blaylock. And that is just controlling the backer with that one.
And Garrett Reynolds, the right guard, shaken up. Right guard Garrett Reynolds comes limping off the field. They're already minus their longtime starting center Todd McClure, and Brett Romberg comes in to replace him.
You can see that Charles Woodson rolled up on that knee, ankle, not sure exactly what the injury is, but now the Atlanta Falcons getting a little thin on that offensive line. Todd McClure, their starting center, already out. Joe Holly replaces him. Now Romberg comes in for Reynolds, and an offensive line that's really been playing so well so far now gets tested.
And you saw McClure, who's been a mainstay here for 13 years. And on 2nd and 4, Ryan's just going to let the clock tick down, and they'll change ends. And that is the end of the first quarter in Atlanta, with the score Falcons 7, Packers nothing. Sunday Night Football continues after these messages. Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth, and Michelle Tafoya at the Georgia Dome. Where the Falcons are playing only their 2nd home game of the season. The other was the Sunday nighter against Philadelphia, and the comeback win over Michael Vick and company, which started the Eagles on their skid. 2nd and 4, the ball to the 20-yard line with Michael Turner behind Ryan, and Turner gets the handoff and takes the ball for a first down at the 13-yard line.
I tell you, the woes continue now for this Packers defense, and up front the offensive line getting it done. Justin Blaylock here with the cutoff block, and here comes the cutback in behind it again. They used a little bit of that ghost, used the reverse, fake the reverse to hold that backside. The Falcons really much more of a backdoor running team than they are even to where the play looks like it's designed to run.
They get Reynolds back into the game. They taped his right ankle, so the right guard is back. On 1st down, Turner takes it to the yard line, and the workhorse running back has carried the ball 9 times already for 35 yards tonight.
You know, for the Packers, it's been a bit of a transition time. Cullen Jenkins left via free agency. Mike Neal is supposed to take his place. He hasn't played yet due to a knee. Nick Collins goes out early in the season with a neck. Tramon Williams, their great bump and run corner, has had a shoulder, so he's had to adapt his game. So this is not the same Packer defense we saw late in the season that made that run to the Super Bowl championship.
One thing that Woodson pointed out to Michelle at the top, though, is they have 11 takeaways. And the pass is caught on the outside by Roddy White, who has scored the only touchdown of the game thus far. Roddy White making the catch.
Well, a great way to neutralize Clay Matthews is to bootleg away from him. So they start that way, come away, and they've been bringing Roddy White across the formation. And Roddy's really kind of sucking it up out here tonight. We saw him at practice on Friday, and he was limping around and not feeling good at all. And Clay Matthews getting held and hit and tripped and whatever they have to do to him, because he is the man as far as the pass rushers for these Packers.
Has his own issues, does Matthews, with a quadricep pull limiting his practice time. On 3rd and 3, a little shovel pass goes to Snelling, and Snelling takes the ball inside the 1. Falcons are signaling touchdown, but the Zebras say still it'll be 1st down and goal.
Yeah, here's the other way you attack Clay Matthews. You make him believe you're going outside of him here with this little boot action, and then you pitch it back inside. We see the Philadelphia Eagles do this play all the time on the goal line, and it is tough. They are just playing games right now with Clay Matthews because they know he is the primary guy that they have to block.
Inches from the goal line. Give it to Turner. In he goes. Touchdown Atlanta. Falcons have already run 23 plays in the first 17 and a half minutes.
Tyson Claybo comes down and makes a nice block, but watch Michael Turner. He takes on a direct shot from A.J. Hawk and Morgan Burnett, and neither one of them can even slow him down. That is the old Michael Turner right there.
Matt Bryant for the extra point. And the Green Bay Packers find themselves in very unfamiliar territory. 12.5 to the half. 14-0 Falcons. Green Bay has not trailed in a game by 14 points since Brett Favre came back to Lambeau as a Viking on November the 1st, 2009. And the Green Bay Packers have had the ball just once. Atlanta's had it twice, and they've gone down the field both times. 145 yards already for the Falcons tonight. 51 for Green Bay on the drive before the Grant fumble turned it over. Kickoff taken 5 yards in the end zone. Randall Cobb. Good coverage by the Falcons special teams group. And now Rodgers will go to work from the 16-yard line. The opposing quarterbacks this season against the Falcons, as you can see, the completion percentages have been great, including last week when Tavares Jackson lit them up, but they were able to hold on at the end of the game as Seattle missed a long field goal. And now Aaron Rodgers goes to work against that defense.
Well, 20 times this year the Green Bay Packers have started a drive at the 20 or inside the 20. They've scored touchdowns on 10 of those. They'll have to take another shot here because the special teams of the Falcons so far, they're winning the battle.
Rodgers on that first drive was 3 out of 5 for 30 yards. Starks gets met head on by Sean Witherspoon, second-year guy out of Missouri who was their #1 draft choice last year.
Here we go Chad Clifton now. They've got Ray Edwards moved over to the other side, and Edwards came back inside there to make that play. Edwards, the big free agent, along with Sean Weatherspoon, they're going to have to continue the way they're going right now.
Edwards knows the Packers all too well. He played with the Vikings for years. Now the catch is made by James Jones, and they will spot the ball at the 24-yard line. It will be 3rd down and 2 for the Packers.
One of the things that was so frustrating for the Falcons in those games last year, there had to be 6 or 7 times in those games that they had free runners rushing at Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers looked like he was going to take a massive hit and somehow escaped and somehow made a play. So far tonight, they really haven't been close to him.
3rd down and 2. Timeout.
Green Bay.
Taken by the Packers. 14-0 Atlanta.
This is Sunday night.
And the Green Bay Packers on Sunday night with a 3rd and 2 here, as you can see, through the 4th week, where Aaron Rodgers ranks in the league overall on 3rd down and in the red zone. After the Green Bay timeout, 3rd and 2 from the Packer 24-yard line.
Chris Owens in the slot at the top of your screen. That's who they picked on last time. Right up here.
Rodgers dancing around, then he just shovels it off to the fullback Kuhn, who takes it up to the 30-yard line. Little safety valve toss out to John Kuhn, and it's a 1st down for the Packers.
You know, there just doesn't seem a lot to get to Aaron Rodgers. That time just a 3-man rush. Rodgers knew it, so he just stood there. John Kuhn with a great job on Bierman. Really was not even a receiver on the play, and Aaron Rodgers just gave it the, here you go. John Kuhn's going to get a little facial out there to Bierman and then just turn around.
56.
Well, I mentioned at the top, Rodgers thought they wouldn't pressure him. Mike Smith telling us the other day, you know, we got to get some pressure on him, but with Abraham not in the lineup, that's a significant difference. Starks to the outside, turns the corner, stays in bounds, close to a 1st down. And he has it as he crosses the 40-yard line.
I tell you, I have just been really impressed lately with James Starks. He's a guy that, you know, he played well in the playoffs last year. He's a hard runner. You see him running over guys and you're impressed. But he really didn't have a clue what he was doing. The protections and all the things. And then in the Super Bowl, he was good. In the last couple of weeks, he seems to be getting better. And you just get the feeling the Packers are more and more impressed with him every single week.
Played at the University of Buffalo. As we say, it's 1 and 1A with Grant and Starks. Aaron Rodgers saying we really don't have just a pure 3rd down back. Rodgers rolling and throwing, and the pass is caught on the outside here by DJ Williams, a rookie from Arkansas, their 5th-round draft choice. And Chad Clifton is hurt. The left tackle is down on the turf at the 32-yard line.
Yeah, there's the shot by DJ Williams, but for the Green Bay Packers, this is huge. Already without Balaga.
Clifton, the mainstay of the line, the 12th-year left tackle, down on the turf, injury timeout. Second and 3 now. Clifton comes out of the game, so you got 2 replacements at both tackle spots, and Starks swings to the outside, turns the corner, and gets the 1st down. But with Clifton putting no weight on his leg, coming off the field, Marshall Newhouse goes to left tackle, and they bring Derek Sherrod in at right tackle.
Yeah, Clifton ends up clicking the heels of his guard TJ Lang, and then gets pushed back into his other foot, and somewhere in that mess ends up getting hurt. And they're really, I think if you would ask Aaron Rodgers who's the #1 guy that he would like to keep protected this year, he probably would say Chad Clifton at this point. He's got people to replace receivers Not so much on that offensive line.
So from the 45, the pressure is put on, and Rodgers is forced to throw incomplete. So now the Falcons can more pressure on him. So you got Newhouse, the second-year guy who started the game at right tackle, going to left, and there goes Clifton back to the locker room, and Sherrod, their #1 draft choice, at right tackle.
Well, now you start protecting your edges to try and help your tackles, and stunts come inside there, and your best offensive lineman, probably Josh Sitton, gets beat on the stunt. Communication on the offensive line so key. Now they've got Marshall Newhouse over there playing left tackle where he hasn't played. They've got the draft choice Sherrod at the right tackle. Communication is going to be all fouled up now for the Packers.
2nd down and 10. And Starks goes through the middle, and Starks doesn't go very far before he gets tackled by Weatherspoon, setting up a 3rd and 8.
And it's just so significant now because if you're the Atlanta Falcons, all of a sudden you go from John Abraham's out, our pass rush won't get there, we're not going to try and blitz Aaron Rodgers. Now you wonder if the scheme changes. Now let's find out if this offensive line has their act together and send a little pressure.
The dynamic has flipped from the beginning of the game. 3rd down and 8. Four-man rush. Rodgers flushed out, throwing on the run, and the catch is made inside the 10. Greg Jennings gets free down the sideline. Chris Owens was chasing him. It's a gain of 39. The Packers have a 1st down and goal.
Well, it gets set up with the protection. You're going to take one of your most talented receivers here, Jermichael Finley, and help on the pass rush. And then they start picking on the other side with their best receiver, Greg Jennings, going against Chris Owens. They wore him out last time, and they're after him again.
And they go without a huddle now from the 4 on 1st down and goal. Rodgers goes 5 wide, but a timeout is now taken by Atlanta. No huddle, and Atlanta with Mike Smith taking a timeout.
Aaron Rodgers sees the whole field. Watch him go through all his progressions, looking off, buying a little time because he knew he was looking for Jennings coming all the way across the field. When you get your fastest guy, and I think that Greg Jennings is probably their fastest guy one-on-one, you take advantage.
Check in with Michelle.
Well, Falcons safety William Moore out with a left shoulder injury. He is questionable. He is nowhere near his helmet. He came into this game with a neck injury. Meanwhile, left tackle Chad Clifton for the Green Bay Packers, hamstring injury. He is doubtful. Remember, Mike McCarthy told us that the lockout really hurt his offensive lineman the most, and now they're down one more, Al.
Down a big one. James Sanders is the guy, thank you, Michelle, who replaces Moore at safety. It's 1st down and goal now. 7.5 to go in the 1st half. Atlanta up by 14. Starks flanking Rodgers in the backfield. Give it to him. And he gets about half the distance. To the 2 he goes. It'll be 2nd down and goal.
Well, that time Jermichael Finley not quite as successful blocking, but for these 2 tackles now playing opposite positions, a lot of different things come into play now. So Marshall Newhouse, who is making his first start on the road, has to switch from a right-handed stance to a left-handed stance, and they're just trying to put Derek Sherrod in the best position possible. Sherrod has made some progress, but he was a failed experiment at guard earlier this year, now back to his natural tackle position.
Starks behind the fullback Kuhn. Leverage in that backfield. Off the play fake. Rodgers chase, and down he goes, and it's all he can do to hold on to the football. Sean Weatherspoon came from behind, came from the blind side, and Rodgers at the very end had to just make sure he didn't fumble. 3rd and goal.
Well, DJ Williams right here in the backfield probably is supposed to pick him up. He looked inside first, peeked for just a minute, and that was just enough for Weatherspoon to get around there. Weatherspoon has really picked it up. These coaches have said mentally he has come so far for this Falcons defense, figuring things out on the field, coming back to the sideline, and he has made a huge difference lately.
11-yard sack. The Falcons had not had a sack since opening day when they lost in Chicago. 3rd and goal. Rodgers under pressure. Down he goes again at the 15-yard line. Lawrence Sidbury, number 90, gets that sack. 4th down, and they'll have to settle for a Crosby field goal attempt.
Yeah, but you really can't put that on the offensive line. The protection was good enough here. But Aaron Rodgers had to try and buy time. Sidbury on the outside really gets blocked by Sherrod, takes him to the ground. But Rodgers just couldn't find any space. And you wonder if Aaron is just questioning this protection a little bit at this point.
32-yard attempt. And Crosby tacks on Green Bay's first points of the night. So Clifton leaving a big deal, and that would figure. 14-3 Atlanta.
This is Sunday night.
Very important early season game for the Falcons, 2-2. Already trailing New Orleans at 4-1. Tampa lost today, but they're 3-2, and they've already beaten Atlanta. It's 14-3 Falcons, and they're going to get the ball. Mason Crosby kicking it toward Eric Weems. And the year of the touchback continues.
Tell you, the Atlanta Falcons offensively have done everything that they wanted to do. Mike Mularkey actually coached with Dom Capers in Miami for a year. And Mularkey saying this week, you know, there are a few things that Dom doesn't really like to see from an offense when he's coaching defensively. And I know what they all are, so I'm throwing them all at him. I don't know if they're going to work or not, but so far tonight it's been picture perfect.
Familiarity has been known to breed contempt, by the way, just in case you wonder. From the 20-yard line, 1st down. Good play fake, and then the pass is tipped. Intended for Roddy White, the deflection, something you don't see from Ryan very often. 2nd down and 10.
I tell you, it's pretty amazing with the lack of success that the Falcons have had on 1st down that they're sitting there with the 14-3 lead at this point. It points out how well they've played on 2nd and 3rd down.
Second down and 10. And Ryan under pressure, incomplete. 4th year for Ryan. He came here when Mike Smith came here. Mike Smith, you'll recall, the Falcons were a mess. In 2007, Michael Vick had gone off to jail. Bobby Petrino was the coach, and he quit in the latter part of the season, walked out on the team. The coaching staff was in disarray. The team was terrible. And Mike Smith was a guy very few people had heard of. We knew him, of course. He followed football, the defensive coordinator at Jacksonville. But in the meantime, he's done about as good a job as anybody in the history of this franchise.
He just calmed everybody down. Just relax, guys. We're going to be okay.
3rd down and 10. And Ryan comes back all the way across the field. Harry Douglas makes the catch. And Harry Douglas with a flag down all the way to the 33-yard line. And there's a flag all the way down back at the 10-yard line. Jeff Triplett.
Holding number 77 of the offense. 10-yard penalty. Repeat 3rd down.
Tyson Clayboy, I think, trying to keep Clay Matthews away, and there went a 47-yard gain down the drain.
Watch his hand on his outside shoulder pads just as Matt Ryan starts to escape. Clay Matthews does a good job of begging, but you see it so often. Offensive linemen don't expect the quarterback to be flush that way, and it's a reaction kind of thing. Just grab that outside shoulder pad for just a second and got caught. What a play by Matt Ryan, though, huh?
Claybo, 7th year in the league, went to his first Pro Bowl last season. It's 3rd down and 20 now. Back goes Rodgers, the rookie, into the game.
Don't give it back here. This is a tough situation. Draw, screen, punt, not always so bad.
Fake an inside give, and then Ryan throws it into his own
You can't
bench.
do that. They've got all the guys down the field. There should be a flag on the play there. They got all kinds because they thought it was a run, so the linemen are down the field. You're going to see these offensive linemen getting down here because they think it's a run. I mean, they're 5, 6, 7, 10 yards. Should have thrown it to them. They were open. No flag, though.
So the first punt of the game. Bosher, the rookie, is worst in the league in gross average, only 36 and change.
Packers up there like they're going to try and block this thing.
And this kick is another short one. It's a 35-yard boot, and then Cobb pays the price and is fortunate to hold on to the ball because Chris Owens is right there. But Rodgers will get the ball on the Atlanta side of the field with 4:22 left in the half. 14-3 Falcons. The Vortex in Atlanta, they call it the triple coronary bypass burger. 2 1-pound burgers, 2 fried eggs, 8 slices of cheese, 10 slices of bacon, served on 3 grilled cheese sandwiches. You then spend a week at Canyon Ranch or you die.
That's a good cheap plug. Attaboy.
From the 44. First down. Ryan Grant back in the game at running back. And Rodgers to the outside, and he throws to Tom Crabtree to the 30-yard line. He goes, Grimes makes the tackle. First down for Green Bay.
Well, now it's the Falcons' turn to have issues. Their nickel guy, Chris Owens, makes a great tackle, but as he gets up, he is clearly rocked. He's excited, and then guys, after he hurt, kept smacking him in the head. And then eventually he just sort of staggered down to the ground. But he is their nickel, so now you've got to expect the Packers to counter with a little spread formation, and they're going to have to take chances with their tackles now.
Nice.
Kelvin Hayden then is the nickel now.
Signed him at the beginning of September as Rodgers dances away and then throws, and the pass caught by Jordy Nelson for a very short gain to the 28-yard line.
Yeah, pretty good job that time by the Falcons picking up the hot read. They brought Hayden on a blitz, and I think it was Weatherspoon who ended up running underneath the receiver. Rodgers was clearly upset. He thought he had a big play, but Weatherspoon took it away.
5-6. Clock ticking down to 3 minutes and a half. 2nd and 9. Blitz coming, and Rodgers escapes it and then throws, and the pass is caught. Nelson makes the catch. Meanwhile, the blitz came from the corner, and from Deku coming in, and he looked like he was going to hit Rodgers down, and Aaron able to remain upright and get the pass away.
Well, we talked about it, the communication now between guys that aren't used to playing together, and Brian Van Gorder taking advantage of that fact. Now Starks having to step around, and Rodgers looks a little unsettled out there. He is as good as there is in the business at reading this stuff, but he also knows he has problems on both edges.
3rd and 2. They bring the rookie Alex Green from Hawaii in at running back, and they swing it out to him, and he will pick up a first down as he gets to the 15-yard line. John Kuhn threw the block. Alex Green picked in the 3rd round from the University of Hawaii, and that takes us down to the 2-minute warning. It'll be 1st and 10 from the 15-yard line on the other side of the 2-minute break. Atlanta 14, Green Bay 3. Two minutes to the half. First down from the 15-yard line. And Rodgers throws it to Starks. And Starks will take the ball to the 7-yard line. 2nd and 8, quickly to Michelle.
Well, Chris Owens is out with a concussion. As you saw, he went back to the locker room for observation. So Kelvin Hayden replacing him right now, Al.
Kelvin Hayden in the game. You mentioned before William Moore, Michelle, is out of the game as well. War of attrition.
Yeah, and Mike McCarthy doing a great job calling these plays. He's bringing tight ends in, then going spread, and then back-to-back screen plays. He's just trying to slow down this pass rush a little bit with some different personnel groupings.
2nd and 2. Rodgers has hit 10 different guys tonight with passes, and this is Grant going nowhere.
Good call there, though. You definitely want to play this clock down. Obviously you're trying to score a touchdown here, but you'd also love to run the rest of this clock out and not give them a chance. So here's really the key play, because you have to think the Packers kick the field goal if they don't convert here.
Yeah, they have all the time they need. They have 2 timeouts. 3rd down and 2 at the 7-yard line. Empty the backfield. Rodgers. He's going to run it. There's a flag that comes in. He takes the ball to the 2-yard line. He ran for 2 touchdowns last week, in addition to throwing for those 4 against Denver.
Yeah. Looks like Josh Sitton.
Holding offense, number 71. 10-yard penalty, 3rd down.
It's Sitton.
It's a good initial move by Corey Peters right here. Sitton gets beat and has no choice but to grab him, or he feels like he has no choice. I tell you, if I had Aaron Rodgers as my quarterback, I'd say go ahead, Corey Peters, take your shot to try and tackle him. Rodgers with all those great runs for touchdowns, 2 of them last week, but you don't want to see that guy running too often.
Now, because they were running the clock down, all of a sudden it's a whole different ball game after a penalty. It's 3rd down and 12 with 18 seconds remaining. Quarterbacks tonight. Rodgers hitting 10 different receivers on those 12 completions. Ryan with 80 yards and then 1 touchdown pass to Roddy White to culminate the first drive of the game.
But Al, they've really been limited in their spread formations. You can tell they're worried about protections. They haven't gone as much 4 and 5 wide receivers, which is really the strength of this football team. Now they do.
2 to the left and 3 to the right on 3rd down and 12. They have 1 timeout, have to get to the 5 for a first down. 3-man rush. And then Rodgers throws it. It's dropped at the goal line. Jermichael Finley at the goal line. Might not have gotten in, but it would have been first down, and they would have taken a timeout. Now it's 4th and 12, and in comes Crosby.
Well, we talk so much about being a basketball player and getting rebound position. Watch him go post up. Curtis Lofton here. Just get inside of him. An easy pitch and catch. And there's just no excuse.
Between the 8s. 35-yard attempt to make it an 8-point game. And Crosby does just that. 2 field goals for Mason tonight. 8 ticks remaining in the first half. Finley very angry with himself, and it's an 8-point game. Little game recap. Each team has had 3 possessions in the half. Rodgers' numbers, Ryan's numbers. Clifton gone, and Balaga was already inactive tonight, so both their starting tackles out. Michael Turner on the ground for 36 yards.
One of the stories this week in Green Bay was the fact that the Green Bay receivers have dropped so many fewer passes this year than what they did a season ago, and yet clearly the pivotal play now of this first half is a Jermichael Finley drop. He was upset he didn't get targeted enough last week, and that one won't help.
Packers will get the ball at the start of the second half as Crosby boots one through the end zone. Mike Smith, when he leads at the half, 29-1, 23 straight for Brian Billick's brother-in-law. He coached with Brian at San Diego State, met Brian's wife's sister. They got married. 12 long years as an assistant at Tennessee Tech. for Mike Smith and now to the big time.
The cradle of coaches.
End of the first half. And a very, very important game for the Atlanta Falcons. They are on top by a score of 14-6. And on to the second half at the Georgia Dome in downtown Atlanta. Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth, Michelle Tafoya. Sunday Night Football. Week 5. Falcons 2-2 coming in. Packers, one of 2 unbeaten teams. The other is Detroit at 4-0. Green Bay to get the ball. And Bosher to kick off, and the rookie sends it about 4 yards in. Randall Cobb will bring it back out to the 19-yard line. Let's get an update from Michelle.
Well, Chris, you talked about Green Bay being limited in the way they could spread out their offense because of those 2 young tackles. I spoke to Mike McCarthy, and he said, in fact, they are going to have to change the way they play call, and they're going to have to shift a lot of help to that right side. Meanwhile, Mike Smith sees this as an opportunity to keep the pressure on Aaron Rodgers, but he said, we've got to finish our pass rushing. We got to get to him because you can hit his arm, and he can still complete passes. We got to finish on Rodgers.
All right, thank you, Michelle. One reason that he can't put as much pressure on, obviously, as he would like is the absence of John Abraham, who was deactivated an hour and a half before the game tonight. Rodgers talking about pressure being put on. That's exactly what they do here. Corey Peters, the tackle, bursts through and sacks Aaron to start the second half.
Here is what the Atlanta Falcons have not been able to do. Get interior pressure. They've been totally dependent on their outside guys. And yet tonight it has been those interior guys. They had a rough week of practice. They took good chewings out after the Seattle game. But tonight they're stepping up their play.
Ryan Grant now the back at 3 sacks for Atlanta. Atlanta did not have a sack in its last 3 games coming in. And Rodgers on second and long, throwing into a lot of traffic for Nelson, and it's incomplete. Brent Grimes with the coverage, and it'll be 3rd down and 17.
Well, here's what you do when you end up with both your tackles out of the game. You chip with your tight ends. Give him a little bump to help Sherrod there. And this time DJ Williams with a deep cleater on the outside. So that's really what this offense has been reduced to. You don't want to have to do that. But I just don't know how comfortable they are with these 2 tackles in pure one-on-one situations, even without John Abraham in the game.
3rd and 17. Just a 3-man rush. And then over the middle it's caught. Into the 22-yard line goes James Jones. So 4th down, a 3-and-out for Green Bay to open the 3rd quarter.
Now, one of the things they're doing in this game now is spying with Stephen Nicholas inside. They don't want Aaron Rodgers taking off and picking up those big first downs. So he's just hanging around to make sure that he doesn't run.
Tim Mastay, who has one of the cushier jobs in the league when you have an offense like Green Bay's. First punt of the night, fielded at the 36-yard line, and Weems steps out of bounds at the 40. So good field position for Atlanta as they have their first possession of the second half. Up by 8, the Atlanta Falcons leading Green Bay. Matt Ryan, 3rd guy overall picked in the 08 draft, 21-2. During the regular season at home, 1-0 this year. Most wins as a quarterback, first 25 home games. Darryl Lamonica, 24-1. Danny White with the Cowboys, 123. Terry Bradshaw was 22-3, and then the great Otto Graham with 22 wins. So a pretty good list with Ryan at 21-2, 24th home game. Tremendous success, obviously, individually and as a team here in the Dome. And tonight, in a very important early season game, up by 8 points. From the 39 on first down. Start with Turner. Turner chugging his way with a flag down up to the 43-yard line. Jeff Triplett making the call.
Eagle use of hands in the face. 93 of the defense. 5-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
Eric Walden.
Well, inside, Green Bay Packers, they know they're trying to run on early downs, so they're doing all kinds of little games to try and gum it up inside. But that time, Eric Walden, the other outside linebacker, if you will, opposite Clay Matthews, with an ill-advised penalty there.
Right guard Reynolds got hurt, came back in the first half, and now Romberg, 66, starts the second half, and he pulls on this play. The Turner going around the corner, taking the ball into Packer territory, tackled at the 48-yard line.
You know, Al, one of the bizarre stats for the Atlanta Falcons this year is that their run-pass ratio has been 35% runs, 65% passes. That is not who the Atlanta Falcons are. Tonight, it has been sort of the opposite of that. They've had 16 runs, I believe, at this point,
right.
13 passes. And so this really looks like the way that Mike Smith and these guys want to play.
The Turners carry the ball 12 times for 44 yards at second down and 5. And his 13th carry will net about 2 yards. And we'll set up a third down and 2 or 3 from the 45-yard line.
Well, this is the way B.J. Raji was playing at the end of last year. Just standing up the center, having his way with him, waiting for the back to make a cut, throw him away and make a play. When Raji starts playing like that, you can forget about running up the middle. He needs to become a dominant player. He and Clay Matthews are the stars of this front seven. They have to start making plays here.
Teammate of Ryan's at Boston College. Third down and 3 from the 46-yard line. Swinging it to the outside, and that is caught by Roddy White. Got away from Williams. Clay Matthews put the heat on Ryan, but he was able to get it away and convert.
Boy, Clay Matthews just barely missed Matt Ryan on that one. Coming off the edge. Nice swim move. Gets underneath Claybo. Throws his body. Ryan just barely got that one out of there. And for Roddy White, he's limping around, but he's limping around effectively out there.
Picking up the tempo and going without a huddle at the 38-yard line. That's Snelling the back. Single coverage. Give it to him. And Snelling a yard, maybe 2 to the 36-yard line with Eric Walden and Charlie Pepra making the stop.
Al, here we go. Now I've been waiting for this moment. Run, run, run. And now you're finally starting to see the single coverage out here on Julio Jones. I'm sure those coaches have seen it too. If they come back to it again, expect one of those deep throws. They do not.
And going without a huddle again on second down and 8. Packers dancing around defensively, and now Ryan will back off.
They're taking their time with this no huddle. They want to run that play clock down.
To the outside goes Ryan. And that's caught by Gonzalez, and Tony gets it inside the 30. That'll make it third down and 1 for the Falcons.
Well, that time they bring Charles Woodson and Clay Matthews off the same side. We've seen this defense have a lot of success with this blitz. Tougher to get these blitzes called, though, against the hurry-up offense.
Only gave him forward progress to the 30. So it's third down and 2.
Single coverage again on Julio Jones if they want to take their shot against Sam Shields, who has given up a few plays this year at the top.
Instead, on the ground, and they're not going to get the first down on the ground as Snelling takes it to the 29, and there's a penalty marker down at the 31.
You're going to use the hands in the face. 77 of the offense. 10-yard penalty, third down.
Tyson Claybo.
Well, Clay Matthews has a way of impacting the game one way or another. That time with a move and hands up underneath on the throat, on the face, and Claybo finishing. And the referee throwing.
And what they want to do right now is they go over to McCarthy. Do you want to take the play or the penalty? They could take the play to make it fourth down and 1 at the 29-yard line, or the penalty. And McCarthy says, I'll take the third and long instead.
Well, with the score 14-6. If he can keep the 3 points off the board here and force a punt, he's just one touchdown away from tying it up with a 2-point conversion.
3rd and 12 now. Heat's put on by Hawk that time, and enough heat that the pass is thrown away. So that'll make it 4th down and move them out of field goal range and bring in Matt Boschert to punt.
That time they fake here and drop out and shoot in here with A.J. Hawk and catch Sam Baker looking outside, and he misses Hawk coming inside. Matt Ryan knew he had no choice but to get that one out of there, and good decision that time by Mike McCarthy.
Randall Cobb, the rookie out of Kentucky, drafted in the 2nd round. Spectacular debut in that Thursday night opener with a kick return for a touchdown. And putting backspin on it, it's going to be a short kick and fair caught by Cobb at the 16-yard line. Rodgers and company getting the ball back, down by 8, 3rd quarter.
Well, what makes Aaron Rodgers one of the top quarterbacks in the game, I think, is decision making and quick release. Watch this release. Put a clock on it for you. 0.27 seconds. 0.33. You wonder how it compares with the best that play the game. Tom Brady, even though he's a little taller, able to get it out of there at 0.30, as does Peyton Manning. See it, understand it, get it out of your hand, and you can play like those guys do.
1/3 of a second. From the 16. Packers start this drive with a Starks run, but Starks will go nowhere as he gets swallowed up by Corey Peters.
Well, I know they want to try and slow down this pass rush a little bit, but you've got the best player in the game, at least thus far, in the way he finished last season, in Aaron Rodgers. He has a quick release. He understands pressures. He knows when he's in trouble. I just think you have to put the ball in his hands. Spread it out. Take your chances. If somebody misses a block, let Aaron Rodgers pick it up. Let him make somebody miss.
13 of 18 for 138 yards for number 12 tonight. And underneath, that pass is incomplete. James Sanders leading Jordy Nelson as the ball got there. 3rd and 12.
Yeah, it's getting tougher here because you end up with the linebacker dropping and a safety coming. And Aaron Rodgers, you can only see one or the other. He's looking at that linebacker, is going to throw it around him. But because they know that Aaron Rodgers doesn't have much time, the safeties now are jumping these routes. At some point, he's going to have to start pushing this ball down the field. Haven't really tested Kelvin Hayden, the backup nickel guy, yet, number 26.
Brings Finley in for protection. Eludes Weatherspoon and then throws downfield and completes it to Jones. And Jones gets out to the 45-yard line. Rodgers extending the play. Weatherspoon came in, looked like he was going to get him. Off he goes to the sideline. 30-yard gain on 3rd and long.
There you go. Let Aaron Rodgers do this. Nobody blocks him. He escapes and picks up a huge 1st down. That's what he does as well as anybody in the game. And if there's one thing that separates him from some of those other top quarterbacks, it's that escapability. He did it to the Atlanta Falcons last time in the playoffs, and he has a chance to do it again tonight.
Rodgers as good as it gets outside the pocket. 3rd catch for Jones tonight. Dump it off for Starks after a couple of fakes and a very well-designed play with a dump off at the end to the 43-yard line.
Well, Ray Edwards, the big money free agent, and Derek Sherrod on the outside, their 1st-round draft pick, and there they go. And Sherrod's winning that battle. Here's Newhouse, the other young tackle in there. He's getting it done. So Aaron Rodgers had time to survey the field. Let those big guys play. You pay them money too.
At the 44 with 6.5 to go in the quarter. Play action, incomplete. Finley, the intended receiver. Coverage by Kelvin Hayden, one-time Colt. Had a 56-yard interception return for a touchdown in the Colts Super Bowl.
Nice play by Kelvin Hayden. They are sitting on these routes right now. They don't even move backwards. They're not respecting the deep threat. And so Aaron Rodgers really has no choice at this point. He's going to have to send some receivers down the field on early downs because they really have lost respect for their ability to protect and get the ball down the field.
Second and 10, and that pass is caught, and that's Donald Driver's first catch of the night. So Donald Driver, drafted in '99, the senior Packer in his 13th year, becomes the 11th different Packer to make a catch tonight.
Yeah, nice job that time as they saw the blitz, took advantage, got it out of their hands quickly. But we're seeing a little more pressure now from the Atlanta Falcons. You can tell Brian Van Gorder, his strategy has changed since these tackles have gone out of the game.
3rd and 5. Rodgers going 5 wide. 3-man pressure, 8-back pass, a little high and off Driver's hands, so it's 4th down.
Just 3-man pressure, and when you're playing at Tampa 2, the one spot you like to hit is right over the ball. Tough play here for Donald Driver, but this is a ball he really needs to catch. Rodgers hummed that thing in there, tough play. And now they're going for a bomb.
Well, they're going to line up to attempt a 57-yard field goal. The underside is if you miss it, Atlanta's going to have great position, but Crosby, with plenty to spare, bangs it through Janikowski-like. Officially 56 yards to make it 14-9, ties for the longest field goal in Green Bay history. Hockey all this week on Versus. Crosby, who ties his own team record with a 56-yard field goal with a touchback here, kicked a 56-yarder at Philadelphia last year and sends this one through the uprights, and that had to clear by 6 or 7 yards to make it 14-9. From the 20, Atlanta starts this drive. Up by 5. 5.5 to go in the 3rd. Ton of time for Ryan. And that is Tony Gonzalez with a flag. And Jeff Triplett will make the call here.
Illegal formation. Offense. Number 11 covered up number 74, who had reported as an eligible receiver. It's a 5-yard penalty. Repeat, first down.
So the tackle, Svitek, comes in, and then Jones has to line up behind the line of scrimmage, but didn't.
Yeah, here's the tight end, but it's really a tackle, so Julio Jones probably got confused. He saw a tackle in there, so he would have had to be on the ball if that were a tackle, but since he were a tight end, he had to be off the ball.
Makes it first down and 15 now. Falcons, who had very few penalties last year, have had a lot at the outset this season. And that is caught, and that is Roddy White, who gets slam dunked to the ground by Pepra out to the 26-yard line. It'll make it 2nd down and 4.
I don't think Desmond Bishop can believe he missed that one. Went right inside of him, and Roddy White going inside and working. Bishop saw it the whole way and just outside the fingertips. But Roddy White, who had some issues with drop really last week and this entire season, making some big catches so far in this one and playing a little banged up.
Dropped only 3 on-target passes all of last year. He's already dropped 5 this season. 2nd and 4.
There it comes.
And deep and incomplete. 1-on-1. You've got Sam Shields and Julio Jones, and Shields looks around and wants offensive interference. Won't get it. 3rd down.
Finally, they take their shot outside, one-on-one. And I think if Matt Ryan had this one to throw over again, he would throw it a little higher. Julio Jones is one of those guys, just a phenomenal leaper. But if you throw those line drives in there, he doesn't get to take advantage of it. If you hang that one a little higher, let him, it'll be a rebounder. He has a much better shot.
Ryan has time, and the pass is incomplete. That's intended for Harry Douglas, so the penalty backs him up. Can't recover from that, and they'll punt the ball to Green Bay with a 5-point lead.
You know, defensively, the Packers are starting to get off the field, but they're getting no pressure whatsoever. I mean, it really has been, they haven't gotten a sack so far tonight, bringing a little blitz inside and just not getting close to Matt Ryan. Despite that, the Falcons haven't scored since the opening 2 drives.
Matt Bosher, 6th-round draft choice, rookie from Miami, to punt. Good high kick. Cobb from the 27. Oh, and gets buried at the 30-yard line. A resounding shot. Mike Peterson, 13th year in the league. Hello. From the 30-yard line, Aaron Rodgers. After the play fake to Grant, and it's caught by Jones. And away goes Jones, and Green Bay has the lead for the first time in the game. 70 yards. The 100th career touchdown pass for Aaron Rodgers.
They tried to dial up pressure and got burned. Got Jones down the field against a safety, and I've just been waiting for it. They've been squatting play after play on those routes, and finally they take their shot down the field. And I think now you're going to see the Packers going for 2.
To make it a 3-point game. Green Bay with its first touchdown of the night after 3 Crosby field goals. And the Packers line up for the deuce with Grant in the backfield flanking Rodgers. And that is busted up, intended for Finley. Deku breaks it up to keep it at 1 point.
Falcons tried to dial up a little pressure here off the edge. Rodgers saw it the whole way. They pick it up with Ryan Grant and run right by the safety, Thomas Deku, there for the big touchdown. But they finally force them down the field, try to run underneath it here with the coverage on this side. But safeties don't cover wide receivers down the field. Nice job by Mike McCarthy, understanding what the Falcons had started to do. They got a little overconfident with their coverage, wanted to try and sit on those routes, and McCarthy got them. On the outside, Derek Sherrod, little hands to the face, but just long enough. I tell you, for a rookie, that's all you need. You just go out there and fight them, big guy.
And Jones on a night when Rodgers has hit 11 different receivers. Along comes Jones for the touchdown. He's been his favorite target. 4 catches for 119. And Crosby with a touchback. Among the things Rodgers has done since he took over for Brett Favre in 2008, 100 touchdown passes, 34 interceptions. Now, one thing, of course, Brett the gunslinger, 04 through 07, through 79 interceptions. Rodgers, 1 interception for every 52 passes. Right now, that is the best rate in NFL history. And he's taken his team from a 14-point deficit, minus both starting tackles, and they've scored 15 unanswered points to take the lead. Now Atlanta. behind for the first time in the game. Start with Turner. 1 yard pickup to the 21-yard line.
Well, now the game's flipped around a little bit. Now you're seeing the Green Bay Packers coming up and challenging the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons offense has begun to shrunk now. They're getting the one-on-one matchups on the outside as they play the run on first down. So now the Falcons are going to have to counter with some deep throws on early downs.
Second and 9. Ryan to the outside, too high. Intended for White, covered well. Eric Walden came in and popped Ryan as he goes to the ground, and it's 3rd down and 9.
Well, that time they dropped Clay Matthews out. You shift all your protection this way. He drops out, and they bring everybody to this side, including Woodson. But it was Eric Walden who ultimately got there and caused the quick throw.
3rd and 9 now from the 21. Atlanta scoring on its first 2 drives. Blank since. Under 3 to go in the quarter. 3-man rush. 8 back. Ryan's going to run it. And he's going to slide, and he's going to get stopped short of the 30-yard line.
The slide killed him that time. He had it if he goes head first.
Or takes another step.
Yeah, where you initiate the slide. Uh-oh, we got a flag now too.
At the end of the, it's going to be 4th and 1, but now you've got a flag at the end of the play, and the Packers are applauding, so it figures to go against Atlanta.
After the play is over, unsportsmanlike conduct. Offense number 84. After this is the goal. It'll be 4th down.
Roddy White.
Don't know if he was upset with the call or what. Clearly, though, Matt Ryan slid short of the first down, and maybe Roddy was trying to do a little refereeing out there, just didn't see it.
So it would have been 4th and 1. Instead, 4th and 16, and Randall Cobb drops back. Matt Bosher the punt, and Green Bay should wind up with decent field position. Bosher again coming into the game had the worst gross punting average in the league. Tonight his long has been 47. High floating kick, and Cobb will call for the fair catch, and there's all kinds of contact at the 47-yard line. Put his hand up a little bit late. Akeem Dent, a rookie from Georgia, bangs into him. And we have a flag.
And the Falcons coming unglued here a little bit. Their strength is their lack of mistakes, lack of penalties, playing under control. And here are the last few plays. They are starting to unravel.
Cobb made a late call on the fair catch. And that might be what the discussion's about. Here he is. Ball's almost there. Dent's almost on top of him. And there it is again as you get a good look at how
it's
late
really,
it was.
The Dent part of that wasn't so bad. I thought he missed him. The question was whether or not the backside guy got blocked into.
There is no foul for fair catch interference. There is. After the play is over, unsportsmanlike conduct. Green Bay. Dent came on the field as the play was ending. 15 yards, 1st down.
And McCarthy a rant. So the penalty for the guys coming out onto the field.
Well, you're going to have a change of possession,
Yeah,
so that's ordinary. I think that somebody must have gone after the officials on that play, because you can't really call them for coming off the bench.
Well, here it is. The guys are coming out. There's a flag.
You got me.
Yeah, you got me too. I'm not sure I understand that call at all. Green Bay will get it at the 32-yard line. You got Rodgers, and he'll just toss it into the bench. I mean, I don't know what you expect if you're officiating the game. You throw a flag and there's going to be a change of possession. I don't get it.
Something else had to happen. That can't be the call, I don't think. That was a really interesting play right there. Bootleg here, single route on the left side. Nobody out on the route. They were going to try and do a throwback all the way across the field. So once Jennings wasn't open, nice play out there by Dante Robinson. No choice but to throw it away for Aaron Rodgers.
2nd and 10. And Rodgers throws, and that's James Jones, and he gets popped, and it's incomplete. Never had complete possession. Kelvin Hayden providing the extraction of the football. 3rd down and 10. All the receivers tonight. James Jones has been the key man, and there it is, the gang of 11.
Test now for these tackles. The crowd back into it. Tough to get off on the snap with the crowd noise.
3rd and 10. Rodgers stepping up and throwing, and that is caught by Jermichael Finley. Straight over the middle he goes. 1st down, Green Bay. A big 3rd and long conversion for a gain of 22.
Yeah, and you get the feeling that maybe they're anticipating a chip out of Jermichael Finley. Never comes, breaks inside, and that's one of those quick throws that Aaron Rodgers does so well, Sherrod, out there. It's not beautiful, but he's getting it done. Newhouse on the other side, who had to switch from the right side to the left. Much better working against the Edwards.
276 yards in the air tonight for Rodgers. And he's going to take a timeout. 1:08 left in the 3rd. A 1-point game.
I tell you, I think this game shifted when Mike McCarthy started trusting these tackles. Here's Marshall Newhouse on the outside, getting it done a couple of times, working against Troy Bierman. Again, nice job on the other side, the rookie, Derek Sherrod. Nicely done. Again, working against Edwards, the high-priced free agent. Can't argue with any of that. Well, so now you're seeing some more confidence in the play caller, Mike McCarthy, because of the job those two guys are doing.
And more kudos to Ted Thompson, the general manager, Mark Murphy, and the whole brain trust, because they've had Clifton and Tauscher as their tackles, and there's Ted Thompson for years, and there's Murphy off his left shoulder, camera right. And what they did is they've gone out, picked Newhouse in the 5th round last year, got Sherrod in the 1st round, got Brian Bulaga in the 1st round last year. So reshuffling, rebuilding on the fly. Underneath, and Starks drops it. Started to look upfield. Weatherspoon was in the neighborhood at 2nd down and 10.
I tell you just can't talk enough about the difference that John Abraham may have made in this game. The speed rusher, the most athletic guy they have on that defensive line. His absence tonight is just making a huge difference. I'm sure he's thinking, oh, give me a shot at one of those two guys, but inactive. They tried it before the game, and his groin simply was a no-go.
Second and 10. Underneath, the catch is made at the 40-yard line. Under a minute now to play in the quarter. That's Finley making the catch. And it will be 3rd down and an injury timeout here, as that's Weatherspoon down on the turf. So coming into the game again to set it, Atlanta inconsistent this year. Lose, win, lose, win. Green Bay undefeated. The Falcons are going to be, as we said at the top, swimming very much upstream with a loss tonight.
Yeah, I tell you, I've been really impressed with the Green Bay Packers tonight. They had to make so many adjustments once the Chad Clifton went out of the game. And I thought if you'd have asked me at the beginning of the season, what couldn't the Packers overcome? I would have said injuries to their tackles. Well, neither starting tackle is in there tonight, and yet somehow Mike McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers have made it work.
All you need to know about any offensive line, you go back to last Sunday night's game when Nick Mangold not being able to play for the Jets was huge right from the get-go. And here's Witherspoon, who makes contact, and then not going to play doctor here, but maybe a stinger.
Well, you can
still
just,
down.
You know, you can just see, and it's why the commissioner is trying so hard to get guys to not lead with the head. Initial contact with the head, and there he sits. You know, these big tight ends really have just changed the game. Jermichael Finley inside, and you look at him and he moves like a wide receiver, but you try and hit him and all of a sudden you're going backwards. He's a tremendous young talent, can play so many different positions. They put him in a lot of those 3-by-1 sets where he's flanked out by themselves or by himself. And if you don't double them, they go there 100% of the time.
Well, they're already minus the starting safety, William Moore. Chris Owens is out, the cornerback. And of course, with John Abraham inactive, now Witherspoon has to come out for at least a play. And it'll be 3rd down and 3. Unofficially tonight, Witherspoon with 9 tackles and a sack. So another big piece missing. 3rd and 3.
It's like man coverage by the Falcons. Packers will have a shot here.
And they run a slant, and it's caught by Cobb. And that's a 1st down, and that's Cobb's first catch of the night, and that is 12 different receivers for the equal opportunity specialist, Aaron Rodgers.
Well, Aaron Rodgers saw what I saw, and he said, I'm just going to get it out quickly. And I tell you, it's unbelievable. Randall Cobb is about 5th or 6th on this depth chart for these wide receivers. That young man, what an impression he made on us on opening night in that game against the Saints.
Everybody's caught a pass for Green Bay tonight beside Don Hudson. End of 3. Green Bay 15, Atlanta 14. Sunday Night Football back after these messages. It's 1st and 10 for the Packers at the Atlanta 29-yard line. And Rodgers throws off the play fake. Jennings around the corner he goes, reaching for the end zone. Wow. And Jennings with a touchdown. What a play. 29 yards, a touchdown on the opening play of the final quarter.
Foot's in bounds. Ball crosses the goal line. Touchdown.
Yep, they will view it upstairs.
That's a super play. The question is that foot. Nice look. Touchdown.
Yep.
I'll tell you, that was some play fake that time by Aaron Rodgers. You talked about their play passes and how effective they were. Those linebackers jumped so far up on that play fake. It was an easy pitch and catch in behind them.
Talking to Rodgers last night about his proficiency, he said, you know, a couple of years ago I worked very hard on selling the play fake. One of the things he did to get better, and with play action he is spectacular. Now to make it an 8-point game, Crosby bangs it through. So that's 22 unanswered points for the Green Bay Packers.
Watch the linebackers in here on this play fake as they step up. They believe that Grant's going to get the ball, and then they just simply throw it right in behind them. 2 deep safeties in behind, and when Aaron Rodgers gets this kind of play fake going, it makes it tough. I'll tell you, Mike McCarthy has called his way in and around this game. Very cautious early on when the 2 young tackles were in there. Developed a little more faith. Aaron Rodgers started making a few plays, and now you can tell he's opening that playbook up. And Greg Jennings is something special, isn't he?
Well, so is Mike McCarthy too. Because, you know, he's a guy who he's not one of the more higher profile coaches in the National Football League. He was the Green Bay quarterbacks coach back in '99. Went to New Orleans, was the offensive coordinator. Went to San Francisco for 1 year. They passed on Aaron Rodgers. They went with Alex Smith, and he winds up getting the head job in Green Bay, and they've already announced they're going to name a street after him. They do that with the Super Bowl winning coaches. He said wait until the end of the season. And it's not a cul-de-sac. It's actually it's a complete thoroughfare. That's a Weems from 5 yards in, and Weems gets pinballed around and then tackled at the 23-yard line. Among the things McCarthy did on his way up, of course, coaches through the years, we talked about Mike Smith, 12 years as an assistant at Tennessee Tech. At one point, McCarthy gets his master's degree, but he needs some money. So he becomes a toll taker on the Pennsylvania Turnpike.
And he said, I used to hate it when my friends came through. I was like, oh, God, yeah, I'm doing it.
He's out there on the graveyard shift.
Oh, boy. But for Mike McCarthy and his Green Bay Packers, this is significant. They're going to try and be 5-0.
From the toll booth to the Lombardi Trophy.
Doctor.
That's a trip. Yeah. From the 22, first down, Atlanta.
Sunday coverage again on Julio Jones. Here it comes.
Going deep and incomplete. Intended for Jones. Sam Shields hanging right with him. Free agent out of Miami, who came along last year spectacularly.
Yeah, but Sam Shields with great coverage here, but Matt Ryan's got to keep it on the field. Julio Jones did the right thing there. He pressed that inside to leave his quarterback some space, and now Julio Jones looks like he's pulled up.
So Ryan minus a key part here. Second down and 10 from the 22. That's Douglas. No place to go. Gets taken down after a short gain by Williams and by Hawk. It'll be third down and 7.
Charles Woodson came on the blitz off the edge, and Matt Ryan had to throw a little lob pass over his head just to complete that, which put Harry Douglas in a pretty tough situation. Nice play by Woodson, realizing he wasn't going to get there and just forced the lob pass. It has been in shutdown mode here.
Third and 7. And it's Douglas spinning around and making the catch at the 46-yard line. And the Packers are screaming that it's not a catch. McCarthy will have the guys upstairs take a real fast look.
Yeah,
Atlanta's going to try to run a play without the ability to challenge.
Yeah, you have to maintain control all the way through the catch to the ground. Do you maintain control? Probably not.
And now McCarthy at the very last moment getting word from upstairs as to what the guys see, and he's going to challenge that.
Green Bay is challenging the ruling on the field of a catch at the sideline.
So that was a 3rd and 7 play. Did he or didn't he? Answer in a moment. It's close, but we think it's going to be an incomplete pass. We believe.
Well, the rule is if you're going to the ground, obviously, you've got to maintain possession. No possession there, and contact is made by Tramon Williams. So now he would be in the process of going to the ground, so you have to maintain control. The ball is clearly out. There's no question about that part of it. There, when he gets his hand on him, he's sort of riding him to the ground. So at this point, have to maintain control, which doesn't happen.
Big play, because it's, there goes Jones, meanwhile, to the locker room. Checking with Michelle.
Yeah, he was indicating his left hamstring was feeling some pain, and obviously they weren't able to do a lot with him down here on the field. He was surrounded by trainers, and you see him leaving the field. We hope to get an official update shortly.
They've held him in check tonight, Michelle. 1 catch, 16 yards, and here's what happened to him. Grabbed it slightly at the end, and to the locker room he goes. Meanwhile, we're waiting for Triplett. It's either going to be a punt or a first down. The answer.
After review, the receiver did not maintain possession of the catch when he hit out of bounds. Therefore, it's an incomplete pass. It'll be 4th down, 7 at the 24 and a half, 13:47 on the clock. 13:47 on the game clock.
The key moment was when that hand went on the receiver's back before he got 2 feet down and control. At that point, he is going to the ground, have to maintain control, and Mike McCarthy.
Oh, yeah.
Loving that one. He waited as long as he possibly could to throw it out there, but they got it right.
Falcons got up to the line of scrimmage, and he waited to the last second. That's the 3rd straight 3 and out for Atlanta, and already the 4th punt in this half.
It's amazing, isn't it? It looks so easy for the Falcons on those first 2 drives, and nothing since. Tom Capers making the adjustments.
Rookie Bosch's kick. It's a good deep kick, and a fair catch is made at the 30-yard line by Cobb. 13:39 left in Atlanta. Packers unbeaten, up by 8. Last Tuesday, Falcons rookies visiting Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, signing autographs, taking photos with the kids and their families. Nice scene. Aaron Rodgers now from the 30-yard line. Packers 22 unanswered points. And Rodgers to the outside he goes, and it's going to be with forward progress, a gain of 8, maybe 9. To Jordy Nelson, a play action for Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, and it's really been the difference. I'm really surprised at how sort of violently these linebackers are stepping up against the run. The Packers have -1 yard rushing so far in the second half, and yet they're flying up here and allowing these throws to get in behind the linebackers, and it's just turned the game.
2nd and 1. Great adjustments by the Green Bay staff on both sides tonight.
No question.
Starks, the running back. And Starks will pick up enough for the first down. Starks, second-year guy, played his college ball at the University of Buffalo. Didn't even get into a game last year until December. Remember, Grant got hurt on opening day, and it was Starks who finally got an opportunity, and then he was a sudden star in January and February when it really counts.
Yeah, I thought he was going to be a liability. Oh, they got a flag down now for illegal substitution again.
12 in the huddle. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
McCarthy not happy on that one, but we were talking about Starks, and I agree. I thought he was going to be a liability. There we go. I think it was Crabtree that came in there, was the extra guy. Trying to, he was in there, and then when Jordy stepped in, and I think what Aaron was saying was, I wasn't in the huddle yet, so we still had time to make that substitution.
Costing him 5, 1st and 15. And then a quick throw to the 40-yard line, and it's taken by Greg Jennings.
Those guys, they just catch the ball unbelievably well. And this no huddle, the adjustment that they've made with the no huddle and sort of hurrying it up a little bit, not so much the no huddle right here, but speeding it up has made a difference too. You could just tell that Rodgers got into a little more of a tempo. The pass rushers started to wear down a little bit for the Falcons after getting 3 sacks early and really have not been close since.
2nd down and 11. You saw the note about 12 receivers tying a Green Bay team record. 12 different receivers tonight as Rodgers throws, and that's incomplete. Significance of that, the other game back in '03, that was the night that after Brett Favre's father had died, and the Packers on a Monday night played in Oakland on that unbelievably memorable night, and Favre went to 12 guys that night.
Big play right here. Packers trying to edge this thing out to more than a 1-touchdown game with at least a field goal, but have to pick this up.
3rd down and 11. Rushing 3, 8 back. And there was a timeout called by Atlanta before the snap. No play. You heard the whistles. There's a little bit of a conference here.
I think probably what happened was
timeout.
The Falcons
Atlanta
got stuck with
Atlanta
run personnel on the field against the spread offense and all these wide receivers. And Mike Smith said, I'm not letting these wide receivers run down the field against my linebackers here.
Here is Smith from behind. Smith, he sees it. And he sees what's happening, and he calls the timeout.
Yeah, he knows he's in trouble. He's undermanned out there against all the wideouts on the field and Jermichael Finley, and too big a play. He wasn't going to take the chance.
That's Mike's pedigree. He was the defensive coordinator at Jacksonville prior to coming here under Jack Del Rio. 3rd and 11. Of course, that timeout, you don't know, down the line could be a costly one. Now it's a 4-man rush. And it is dropped by Finley.
Again.
Finley had it and couldn't hold on. Popped by James Sanders as the ball gets there. 4th down.
Here we go against that Tampa 2 defense. And I don't know exactly what Curtis Lofton was doing. Start down 11, and he's dropping to 15 yards with the tight end coming underneath it. And there's the hit. James Sanders, who made a big hit last week to change that game, may have turned this one too.
Tim Mastay in for his 2nd punt. Fair catch called for by Weems. And Ryan will go to work from the 16-yard line with 11-12 to play in Atlanta. And the Pack up by 8. And a big drive here for the Falcons, who've had nothing going since their first 2 drives tonight. They had an 80-yard drive TD, 60-yard drive for a TD, and 53 total yards since turning to the 19.
Oh, boy.
Oh, yeah. Now you got flags all over the joint.
After the play, personal foul, unnecessary roughness. Number 50 in the defense. 15 yards, automatic 1st down.
A.J. Hawk.
It's always, excuse me, Al, always the retaliator, isn't it? There we go. Right here, Holly is going to get him. Joe Holly is going to give him a little push. And here comes the retaliation. A little acting job. Yep. And soccer people everywhere proud.
Best supporting actor.
Hey, Trucker! Trucker!
Come on, come on.
Single. Trucker! Let him go!
Weems is going to make the catch, and he's going to be run out of bounds by Hawk. Eric Weems making his first grab. He's going to probably see a little bit more action here now that Julio Jones is back in the locker room.
Clay Matthews on the outside saw this all the way, as did A.J. Hawk. He was not fooled at all. They tried to sneak Weems out the back door. Hawk saw it and had the speed to run down the speedy Weems.
2nd down and 6.
Easy now.
I tell you, these corners for the Packers have simply taken over the game. The Falcons cannot make it work down the field against bump and run man-to-man coverage.
And it's White and Douglas on the outside now with Jones not available. And that is pulled in at the 45-yard line by Tony Gonzalez. So they flanked him out, and Gonzalez makes a big catch, tackled by Bishop. 1st down after a gain of 22 to Tony.
So if your wideouts can't get it done, go inside to your tight end, back shoulder throw, perfect coverage by Desmond Bishop. But Tony Gonzalez, the veteran, and now the Falcons jump in their no huddle.
Yeah.
1,094 catches, tied for 4th all time, ties Tim Brown with that catch.
That's us. San Diego.
And we're going to 5-4-2.
San Diego comes into play here. And that is caught on the outside by Roddy White to the 37-yard line.
Now the Packers just continue to fire off of both edges. Anytime that you see the Falcons go spread offense, you're seeing both blitzers on either side coming after Matt Ryan, so he's got to get the ball out of his hand immediately.
Second and 7. Turner through the middle. So he buys some time with that pump fake to the left side, and then Turner picks up the first down. So the Falcons with by far their most impressive march since early in the first half. First quarter going into the second when they had that second touchdown drive.
Hey, single. Go. Hey, shout kick. Yeah. Go.
Ryan under pressure. Well, he pointed out 55. You heard him at the line. I mean, he's the Mike, Desmond Bishop, and before that play is done, number 55 is in his face.
Well, that means 55's the Mike. That means it's the offensive line's responsibility to pick him up, and right now they do not. It looked like Sam Baker missed him coming around for some reason. Not sure exactly how he missed it. When you say 55's the Mike, that turns it over to the offensive line to make that play.
First Green Bay sack of the game, worth 11 yards, second and 21. Almost halfway through the fourth. Rushing 4, running a stunt up front. And the pass a little high, tipped and intercepted. Charlie Peppra comes away off the deflection, off Gonzalez's hands, picked off by Peppra, and that's the end of that Atlanta drive.
It looked like pressure from Clay Matthews inside. Forced the quick one.
Green Bay, another turnover this season. Packer defense with those picks since 06. Went to the break talking about another turnover created by the Packers. And despite their statistically inept numbers defensively, especially pass defense, that's the 12th takeaway. They were tied for second in the league behind Baltimore coming into the game. And a very timely one there. Now a sack here, and that is Ray Edwards, who came over from the Vikings. They picked him up as a free agent. He was on the market, and they interviewed him by Skype. Yep. Some guys make recruiting trips. They take you to a 5-star hotel and a restaurant. Other guys do it by Skype.
Well, right now, this Packers offensive line needs to Skype somebody on the outside. They let both guys go, and they couldn't even get the pass, and that was a quick screen. Something was miscommunicated there. Everybody was fouled up.
4 sacks for Atlanta tonight. Second and 18. And that is caught, and that's Cobb making the catch. And he picks up yardage all the way to the 30-yard line. It was a second and 18, and he gets 16. It'll be 3rd and 2.
Huge play for Charlie Peppra down the field here. Tony Gonzalez coming at him. Watch this play by Peppra. He played a lot of snaps last year. Tips that one in the air to himself, but it was the pressure inside by Clay Matthews. And Garrett Reynolds, whatever he hurt early in the game, showed up there. He just couldn't come back on that stunt. And that sore ankle showed up there.
3rd down and 2 from the 30. And that's caught over the middle, and that's Finley, who's dropped a couple tonight, but also made some big plays tonight. And another big 3rd down conversion, and that's going to chew up a good part of the clock. 24 yards.
Well, for the second straight play, Sean Weatherspoon, I think he's right here, falls down on the play. He fell down on the last one. They complete that one. He falls down here, and they convert. Aaron Rodgers, man, he's locked in now. He's not looking at any pass rush anymore.
Slow start for that offense tonight, but that's 375 yards for Rodgers tonight.
I wonder if Weatherspoon might be hurt. Remember, he took the knock to the head. And
right. He was looking around the other way here. The play goes off with Starks. They're going to use little clock if they can. Bierman making the tackle.
Now we're down to 5:20 now to go in the game. So, yeah, you want the ball back, but you also have to make sure they don't kick a field goal here. You're at an 8-point lead, and 3 looks pretty powerful on the board. Matt Ryan, unable to find his receivers down the field, was reduced to Tony Gonzalez, tried to squeeze one in there and got it taken away.
2nd and 10. Rodgers milking the play clock. Goes to the outside quickly. Broken tackle. Jones gets away, and then Jones takes the ball to the 24-yard line and stays in bounds to keep that clock running. Broke away from Robinson, 22-yard gain.
And the thing the Falcons talked about over and over again this week is, yes, let them make catches, but we have to tackle. They missed so many tackles the last time these two teams met, and here's a huge one right here. Nothing wrong with giving up that completion. You tried the blitz, it didn't get there. You just have to get him on the ground. James Jones with a nice escape.
A killer.
And now you're in field goal range.
And the next snap is under 4 minutes. Starks. Going to get taken down to the 25-yard line. Again, Atlanta had to use that one timeout, and that could come into play here. They have 2 plus the 2-minute warning. And Rodgers very efficient and effective, milking the play clock all the way down to 1 or 2.
Nice thing about having a guy like Aaron Rodgers, who does not turn the football over very much. A lot of teams would just simply run it the next 2 times, but I think Mike McCarthy trusts Aaron Rodgers enough to open up the playbook and allow him to choose just about anything he wants.
Grant is the running back. Kuhn, the fullback in the set. Grant. And Grant works his way to the 17-yard line. And now we'll go to 3:02. And Atlanta says, well, we just got to use a timeout here. Got to use a timeout and have to stop them. They're already in field goal range. It'll be 3rd down and 3. Mike Smith is down to 1 timeout plus the 2-minute warning.
And it looked like he just said, if we stop them here, we're taking the timeout right now.
And then Green Bay will set up for a field goal, which would still make it a 2-possession game and leave Mike with only the 2-minute warning. 22 straight points for Green Bay. Atlanta came out hot tonight, scoring on each of its first 2 drives, 80 yards and 60 yards. But since then, all Green Bay. 3rd and 3. And here is Starks, and that's going to effectively end it as he takes the ball to the 12-yard line for a 1st down.
Well, I tell you, when you know the other team's going to run the ball and you can still run it, that's pretty impressive. Check out this block right here by Lang. He gets initial contact, gets up. And I'll tell you, this James Starks, he's a man running the football. Gets those shoulders low. This has been an impressive performance tonight. Not pretty, not the way they had it planned, but they have found a way to stand up and get this win, it looks like.
At the 12-yard line. Once again, Rodgers taking it all the way down as he's done on this whole drive. To the 12 goes Grant. 2-minute warning's going to come, but Atlanta will take its final timeout. I'll tell you a really big call in this game by Mike McCarthy. A 56-yard field goal with a score 14-6, because if you don't make that, you give Atlanta the ball, they would be leading by 8, and you're giving them the ball in midfield. And then Mason Crosby came in and banged that baby through from 56. Here it was.
Yeah, I tell you the other one, Al, that we talked about, the fact that he decided to take that penalty instead of having a 4th and 1 and leaving them in field goal range, drove them out, and those 3 points look huge now.
Now you know why they're going to name the street after Mike McCarthy.
Well,
and you know, he, as a toll taker, here's an idea for the Green Bay City Council. You make it a toll road.
I can almost guarantee that he will not work there again, though.
I don't think so. Gonna take the receipts. 2nd and 10. Grant. And that'll be the final play before the 2-minute warning. So the Falcons, no timeouts, 2 minutes left. Green Bay clearly in field goal range at worst. It'll be 3rd and 13 on the other side of the 2-minute warning. And the Green Bay Packers trying to go to 5-0. 22 straight points, leading by 8 in Atlanta. Big smile on the face of Matthews, his team on the cusp of going to 5-0. It's 3rd and 13 from the 15-yard line. And this is starts. Barely matters. He gets to the 12. They can take 40 more seconds off the clock and let Crosby come in for what would be, in effect, a chip shot field goal to ice it.
Well, he hasn't missed so far this year. I'm sure they'll milk this thing down as far as they can and then take their time out. But for the Green Bay Packers, looking to start 5-0, it would be only the 7th time in this team's history. All 6 of those other teams won NFL championships.
So you don't think anybody's going to start talking about an unbeaten season, at least until tomorrow morning, right? They have St. Louis at home next week. Huge favorite. Then they go to Minnesota, heavily favored. Then they have an open date. Then they go to November. Big game. They go to San Diego. That's going to be a good matchup. Take a look at that Packers schedule. Winless Rams at Minnie, bye. At San Diego, tough one. Vikings go to Lambeau, and then Tampa Bay goes to Lambeau. Of course, coaches, it's the last thing they want to hear. Well, we're playing on one of the, coach speak.
Yep.
But
ball game right here. Still have to make it. Those 3-foot putts are different when they're, we all know, it's one thing when they don't mean anything. This one means a lot.
Even Tiger couldn't make it this weekend. 30-yard attempt. And Crosby will send the Packers home on a happy trip to Wisconsin.
That's what world champions do. They find a way, despite tough circumstances, which is certainly what Aaron Rodgers and the Packers face tonight, to simply get it done.
Get passer rating, very, imprecise and all of that, and it's a little complicated, but it gives you an idea, when a guy has those numbers over that period of time. What does it mean? It means, as Chris said at the top when I asked him for an adjective, and he said phenomenal. No ifs, ands, or buts. And there it is, higher passer rating at any point after 1,500 career passes. Rodgers at 100.5, and Kurt Warner, who did it through 2002 and had that rating for only one game. But there is Aaron Rodgers, who has just been spectacular. No question, if the MVP balloting were to be held today, there is your man. And he does it again tonight. And he does it after a very slow start. He does it with one tackle out before the game and the other gone during the game. And then Crosby bangs it through the end zone. And McCarthy does a brilliant job of calling the game. Capers on the other side does a great job with the defensive adjustments. And the Packers are, with 25 unanswered points, on their way to a big win. And in the meantime, you got guys like Sherrod picking up a lot of experience. You got Newhouse, who had a flip over from the right side to the left side. So that line is getting rebuilt on the fly, and the Packers are as hot as they've been, including last season when they roared down the stretch. Balaga should come back next week. That pass is caught by Roddy White for a first down.
I tell you, the adjustment by Dom Capers to go to more of the bump and run, man-to-man coverage, trust these corners on the outside, and begin to send pressure just changed the complexity of this football game. It really did. He rolled the dice. They weren't getting any pressure, took some chances, and these corners won the battle.
From the 35 on first down. Ryan throws, and then it'll be caught. Flag is thrown. Gonzalez, for the moment, would have one more career catch than Tim Brown, the longtime Raider, pending the call.
Prior to the pass, holding number 55, the defense. The penalty is declined. Result of the play is the first down.
Penalty on Bishop. Catch by Gonzalez. Tony's caught 5 tonight. Ryan. And Gonzalez now with a half dozen.
It was interesting talking to Dom Capers about this defense. He said, you know, after 4 weeks last year, we weren't very good either. And all of a sudden, it started to come together, and he thought one of the keys was B.J. Raji. He got so much better in the second half of the season and through the playoffs, finally creating some pass rush from the inside, and he thought that was one of the keys.
2nd and 8. It'll be 3rd down and 8 right now. Ryan, that hot start tonight, but if you look at the overall numbers, 167 yards for him through the air. And for Rodgers, he's just 4 shy of 400.
And they just have to be shaking their heads, the Atlanta Falcons, to come out and put 14 points on the board and just go up and down the field. And then the spigot just got turned off. I mean, it was a goose egg after that.
Ryan started 8 of 10, which means he would be 10 of his last 21, under 50%. And that is intercepted off the deflection, and that's Jared Bush who's going to run it back. And Bush still going. Harry Douglas is there, and then finally coming in to make the tackle would be Jacquez Rodgers.
Well, we talked about the depth of these wide receivers and so many guys making catches. How about the depth on the defensive side?
And how about another drop pass by Roddy White, in effect?
Yeah, it was Charlie Pepra, a backup safety who made the interception earlier. Now it's Jared Bush, a backup cornerback, who comes in and makes the play. Yeah, I thought it was, to some degree, the corners and their play of Tramon Williams and Sam Shields and Charles Woodson a year ago that turned this team around defensively, and maybe it will be starting after tonight.
Well, the Falcons will go to 2-3, so they've already lost as many games as they did all of last season when they were 13-3, were the #1 seed in the NFC. Start 5-0. They go home to face the winless Rams. Meanwhile, Atlanta stays here to take on Carolina and the amazing Cam Newton. They almost pulled one out today against the Saints, but New Orleans won, and the Saints put some more room between themselves and last year's NFC South champions. Great job, great adjusting by the Packers tonight. They score the last 25 points of the game and win it 25-14.